The secret's also recruiting. So it's really listening and understanding the marketplace on both the client side and the candidate side, and then making sure that you're not overstretching yourself. Because there's jobs that there's needs everywhere, there's candidates everywhere, and yes, you can do that, but you only have so much time in a day. And if you want to max your effectiveness, you have to make sure that's an area you can cover that will know you too.
You're listening to Stories from the Top, an inside guide to better business development. All right, we are back with Pete Joniec, co-founder of the Joniec Group. Once again, Pete, can you just give us a little introduction to who you are and your business?
Pete Joniec with the Joniec Group. I'm one of the founding partners of Joniec. Joniec is an insurance-specific recruiting firm operating throughout the United States.
Awesome. So, Pete, I know mentorship is big with you. You've been a mentor to me through the EOA program, and you also mentor in SCORE. Tell me about how mentorship plays a role when you are trying to scale a business.
Well, when you're trying to scale a business, it gives you the ability to talk to people who have done it before. People who have experienced it and gone through a lot of situations that you might not have. It also gives you some insights for ideas as well. So it's somebody mentors are people that you can lean on, and there's I think one of the things out there with SCORE and with EOA, I don't think a lot of people know about what the offering is out there. So I would strongly encourage, especially new business owners or people starting out, reach out to mentors, find out what's out there for you. You can go to different chapters of, say, the Chamber of Commerce, Entrepreneurs Organization. I know there's other Vistage and things like that. Of course, there's a cost for some of these things. With SCORE's a free offering through the Small Business Association that a lot of people don't know about. So mentors, I would always encourage you or new business owners to talk to mentors. And I'd also caution new business owners or entrepreneurs at any level to also be cautious of listening to the armchair quarterbacks out there, because it might be difficult to find a mentor, the right mentor, but there's going to be 1,000 other people telling you what you should or shouldn't do that will never take the risk or experience what you're experiencing. So it's kind of a dual-sided thing. Look for mentors, seek them out, and find the right ones that work for you, but also be cautious of all those other people that want to tell you how to do your business and everything else that have no idea what the risk that you're taking.
And so as you were growing your business, did you have mentors or did you have any programs in place that you were following?
Well, I mean, my first mentor, in the business, it's funny that you're talking about this, because I gave a speech a couple of Christmas parties ago, and it was talking about the people who enter your life at different times, they give you guidance that you don't even realize. And there were 3 people at that point that gave me guidance. One was this Coach Bob. When I was growing up, he was down in the park, and he was this history teacher that would run the park. Part-time job for him, but it was an area. It was a decent area in Northeast, but he told me I would go lift weights. He said, just get out of here. Get out. There's nothing for you here. So Coach Bob was one of them. And then when I got in the Navy, my head of the plant was a gentleman by the name of Joe Baggett. And Baggett he was running a plant, and I was working my ass off. And he would say, I'd say, Baggett, because it was a long answer, but so when you're out to sea, you move up watch stations. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the Navy, you would move up depending on how hard you worked and studied and move up the watch stations. So out to sea, I would move up jump all these watch stations, and I'd be in charge of all these people that were in the Navy for years. And, but here I'm 18. So, but then in port, it goes back to rank. So back in port, I'm an E3, and I got all these people who are pissed off at me because you're in charge. So I'd say to Baggett, look, I'm busting my ass for you. I'll do everything, but I can't listen to these these people who don't want to do it, man, losers. Let's call them losers at the point. So I can't listen to these guys telling me what to do. And he said, Joniec, you listen to me, and that's it. And like, and he went on to he's basically, I think, a commander of a ship right now. Like, he went from enlisted to officer to I think he has his own ship at this point. Like, tremendous individual. But it was Coach Bob, Joe Baggett, and then the third one was my partner Gene. So coming into recruiting and his guidance and his mentorship, and so I had kind of a built-in mentor, a person that was 15 years older than me, a person that lived a lot more life than I did, so with that, it was a unique, we were just talking about, partners and work with partners. A lot of times partners might be the same age or around the same age. So kind of had a built-in mentor because through life events and through different things, I had Gene kind of there along the way. So friend and mentor along the way. And then later on, as the business grew, we sought out outside mentorship, because there are different, I'm trying to remember what we use, but there's different places you can go where you can seek out mentors. So what you'll do is you'll pay, or they pay a fee to be mentors, or what have you. We didn't pay, but what we did is we then negotiated with the mentor after for a length. So you go and you listen to, you give a statement of, or like a presentation of your business and where you're at, and then the mentors kind of pitch themselves, and you determine who you want to work with. So we worked with an outside mentor for about a year. And it was good. It was good bouncing ideas off him and everything else. But we realized at that point, like, all the things we were doing, we couldn't move fast enough in the business. So it was like, okay, let us just stop for a second and kind of really focus on what we're doing here versus what we want to do.
That's a good jump off point to switch back to recruiting. If you're looking at your own business, how do you determine when is it time to kind of stay put where you're at, and when is it time to grow and recruit new talent?
Well, needs in the market, right? Whatever marketplace you're in. So if you're in a market, there's only so much revenue you can generate, in that marketplace. So right now, Jonas is sectioned off into markets. So there's so many markets. In the markets, we usually go anywhere from half a state, depending on how big it is, to multiple states. But that's the market. So there's only so much revenue you're going to generate in any market, and that can only hold so many recruiters in that marketplace. And you want those recruiters to earn a certain level of income. So that's what, the way you look at it at this point is does the market dictate hiring a new person or not? Earlier on, though, we weren't. Yeah, you didn't have that thought. It was just, how many jobs do we have? How many jobs were we bringing? We have so many more jobs than we can ever cover. And it was bringing in recruiters to continue to fill those opportunities. Because at a certain point, you have so many clients reaching out to you, and the market, you have to get recruiters in place as quickly as possible to fill that need.
And what's like the secret sauce of recruiting? Like, how do you run a excellent recruiting campaign?
Well, secret sauce of recruiting, I mean, we go back to what I was talking about earlier, is knowing your marketplace, knowing the players in your marketplace, and having a very detailed database from the information that you're obtaining from the people in the marketplace. Being able to go to the right people at the right time. That's knowing your marketplace, and the marketplace knowing you. If you get those two things really going, it just starts to build on itself. It really starts to build on itself, but it's having the patience to do that. And a lot of times, as a newer recruiter or a newer salesperson, like all you're doing is running and making calls, but thinking big picture, it's really getting to know the people, getting to know what they would look for, what they wouldn't look for, where they're at in their career, where they see themselves, how they want to progress or not. Same for the clients. It's really getting to know the clients, what kind of individuals are they looking for their firm? What kind of profiles, who would fit, so, because a lot of times similar to what I was talking about earlier about, getting people, higher level people, and try. As a newer recruiter, you might find, oh, this is a great profile at this large broker, and they would be a perfect fit. They're not going to go there if they don't have that mentality of, I'm going to do a lot more jobs that I'm not used to. But sometimes you see that. Sometimes you see the hires made where the client's like, no, they're perfect. And they get there and they're like, yeah, I didn't come here to do marketing or do certification, certs, or, stuff like that. So you place the wrong person and you learn from that as well, and seeing that, and you get a lot more cautious. So it's really listening and understanding the marketplace on both the client side and the candidate side, and then making sure that you're not overstretching yourself, because there's jobs that, yeah, there's needs everywhere, there's candidates everywhere, and yes, you can do that, but you only have so much time in a day. And if you want to max your effectiveness, you have to make sure that's an area you can cover that will know you too.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that you shared with me before too about when you're hiring for your own business was this idea of the bench. So even when you're not ready to hire now, just always be talking to people and kind of filling up spots on that bench just in case, like when the time comes and you want to hire somebody, you have some people who are kind of like warmed up and ready to go. Um, can you what are some of your strategies to always be talking to people for potential new hires and things like that?
An easy one I tell a lot of people on EO and EOA is making connections on LinkedIn, but not just making connections, but making connections and simply saying like, hey, so came across your profile. If you have some time, would love to spend 5 minutes to learn more about what you're doing. See if there's any synergies for anything in the future. And that can mean anything, it can mean a job, a position. It can mean a lot of things, but just open it up through a conversation of learning more about that individual. And you'd be surprised, especially people in your marketplace, like people in your marketplace. If you're constantly open and having those conversations and you're doing a couple, two, you don't have to do a lot, 1 or 2 a week. If you do that, you start to build a bench. And you also start to build your own. I talked about knowing your market, as far as your recruiter goes, same thing. It's knowing all the potential people out there that do what you're looking for, that you're just making a contact. And what happens? You make the contact. Some people, there have been plenty of people that say, I'm not looking, I'm so happy, I'm this. And then a week later, a day later, a month later, since our call, you had me really thinking. It happens so much, that person who's been sitting in whatever position for several years thinks they're happy. All of a sudden you had a conversation, you tell them about what you're doing, what we're doing here and everything else. And it's light. I think that's the other thing that's kind of disarming. It's like, you're not going in with the intention of, I need to hire you and pull you over here. Right. It's more just very easygoing, hey, what are you doing over there? How long have you been there? What's going on? Anything exciting? What are you seeing in the marketplace? And they ask you questions too, but you start to see, and they start to see, oh wait, there's other stuff out there. And I always go, the buying signs to me have always been when people start asking you a lot of questions, about what are you guys doing over there? They start asking you questions and they're like, how long's the position been open? Or what are you guys looking for? Then you can turn around and say, oh, are you looking? Or how long have you been looking? Have you thought about looking? And you can kind of take their temperature and see, but more, if you have the mentality of a very easygoing, just reaching out, would love to learn more about what you're doing if you have some time. It just kind of makes it easier for them to say, sure or no. But it's not coming in where they're like, oh, what are you trying to sell me? Because there's a lot of that now. There's a lot of bots, a lot of stuff. So how can you make that communication very genuine, where they know this is just a genuine outreach versus, I sent this out to 50 people and this is an automated response that pops up the minute you click connect and now it's popping up, so it's stuff like that. But if you have that mentality and you start building a bench, you can build a bench. And then what happens, the same cycle happens. When you're ready, 10, 15 people that you can reach out to, and you don't have to recreate a search. 2, they know you, so when they're looking, or they know somebody that's looking in the same thing, you're more prone for them to reach out if they decide, hey, now it's time. Or I mean, there's one instance, and this was from recruiting, where I reach out and cold call, and I had a woman I talked to, and she was happy. I said, here, and so it was years later, she reaches out and she goes, Pete, oh, your number still works. Great. Look, I'm looking now. Can I get you my resume? I said, sure. And she goes, yeah, you talked to me 2 years or 3 years ago. She goes, when you talked to me, I wrote down your name and number and I stuck it underneath my keyboard. I'm cleaning my desk out, because I just got laid off and I found your sticky note here and wanted to reach out to you. So you never know those instances when you're just planting, you just plant seeds, when you're planting seeds, you never know when it's going to come back. So, and that's the benefit I would encourage, running your organization, have those conversations. And it doesn't have to be a lot, one a week, two a week. And they get to know your company too.
So when a firm is hiring, what do you think are some of the biggest problems that people run into or mistakes that people make when hiring?
They're not true to what their needs are. They think, oh, or they're not open to, they might be a little too stringent with their expectations versus what's in the marketplace. Like sometimes, you come in, especially clients who might be real new to a marketplace, they kind of, I want A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and I'm not looking for anybody. Look, that worked in 2008 and 9 during a recession, where they're like, I won't hire unless this person, because they knew they could sit, they could wait. But as the marketplace has heated up over the years, you'll from time to time run into employers that are too stringent and they don't know what the market dictates out there, or their salary requirements might be really out of line with what the marketplace is, because they might not have hired that position for 3 years. Well, in 3 years, that position went from 50 to 65 being a normal entry level or a normal salary at that level. And they're just not in line with it and they won't budge. And I understand. I mean, you have your financials, you have your budgets and everything else. I get it. But you now have to either dial down what your expectation is or find a way to come up, because regardless of what you want, the market is what it is.
What's your opinion on hiring the perfect person who's got the experience, does exactly what you want, versus getting someone kind of new and training them?
It's where you're at in your business cycle. It's where you're at in your business growth. Do you know what you want? Has somebody sat in that position before or not? Or are you creating the position? There are positions. So I would encourage a lot of new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are growing their business to really look at the fractional marketplace first, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. So if you're trying to create a position that's outside of your specialization, like whether it's like HR or marketing or something like that, you have no idea. So there's a lot of fractional firms out there. I'll give a plug to Marshall O'Connor Group. O'Connor Group, great firm. But we didn't know anything about HR, needs in HR. So we reached out to the O'Connor Group. We learned about the fractional marketplace, and we're able to get somebody to come in a couple of hours and really start that position. So in today's world, almost in anything you look at, accounting, finance, because we use the fractional bookkeeper for a while too. So that gives you the ability to have a specialist at a certain caliber come into your company, and you can go all levels. You can go accountant, auditor, bookkeeper, you can go CFO. You can hire somebody at all levels in a fractional basis to come in. So I would encourage entrepreneurs to look at the fractional marketplace to bring that level of specialization and maybe lay out what you need or should be looking for you, or maybe lay out the department and what it should look like before you go out to the marketplace and try to hire somebody to just come aboard and do it.
And when you're thinking about creating a new position, do you have any recommendations on how like a salary should be chosen or what you should offer?
If you really don't know the market at all, right, and you're going out there, conversations, you're going to have conversations in the market, talking to people that are doing the job, and finding out what are their salary expectations, what are they looking for. If you go open to the market and you have those conversations, you'll start to get an idea of where it's at. You might get some high ones and low ones, but you talk to enough people, you talk to 5 people, 6 people, 10 people. After that, you're going to have a baseline of what the expectations are in the marketplace. And certainly you can look online too. I mean, there's a lot of salary calculators and things like that, but I don't know. I can't agree that they're always really up to speed with what the market is. And also, it's exactly where you're at, where you're hiring. If you're hiring nationwide, certainly the cost of living in, say, the Midwest is going to be a lot less than if you're trying to hire somebody in New York City. So it depends also on the position. Does it have to be in office? Is it remote? And then is it global? Because you have a lot of offshore firms that you can hire people from.
So give us one more piece of advice that you try to live by in your business.
So an easy one that has helped me through business all along the way at all levels has been constantly read books, and any nuggets that you can pick out of them, apply them as quickly as possible. So I equate to building a business as very small things that you take and you add. Small little blocks that you just add on to the business. And the quicker you can add it on and make it part of the process, the more likely it is to be part of the business as it grows. So I don't know if you read certainly there's other things. There's, TED Talks that people can watch, podcasts like this one, but if there's one nugget, if you come out of, I always had that mentality, like, I'm not going to remember a whole book, or I'm not going to do it. I'm going to remember maybe good parts or portions. But if there's something from a book that I can take and apply immediately to the business, it's more prone to continue than versus trying to remember it or things like that. So that's an easy one that I would say is take a nugget, apply it as quickly as you can, and it's more likely to help grow your business or be part of your business going forward.
So what are your plans for the future of the Joniec Group?
Continue to let the Joniec Group grow. Probably add other verticals or other lines of business to allow it to grow and continue to add on to the staff in our core business that we're focused on right now.
Gotcha. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you or get a hold of the Joniec Group, what's the best way they can reach out?
Joniecgroup.com or join us at joniecgroup.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Pete, for coming out. Really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thanks for having me, guys. This has been a pleasure.
Stories from the Top is your guide to successful business development. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or find Edge of Cinema on YouTube. Stories from the Top is an Edge of Cinema production, hosted by Matthew Skura and Jeremy Schmidt. To learn more or get in touch, visit edgeofcinema.com/podcast.